As far as what's going down here,
Good night.
is this being presented to you as a packaged bill with everything inclusive to it, or is it going to be voted on in increments and portions of the bill?
It's going to be voted on as one bill, but any member is free to offer amendments if they'd like.
So there will be amendment, because I didn't think you could amend an ESER bill.
You can amend an ESER bill, and there's nothing, well, actually, let me make sure you understand the rules, because the Senate rules are not fair to the minority party, at the least. There is nothing anyone can do to stop a member of the Senate from filing an amendment before noon tomorrow. What's the House time? Do you know what the House time is?
I think that's around the same.
Yeah.
It's just, well, no, or is it? It's
if a member of the Senate, it might be the same one in the House, I only know the Senate rules well, were to file an amendment after 12 noon, they need 2 of 3 signatures. They need, and they're quote unquote 3 leaders: the Senate President, the Senate Majority Leader, and the Senate Minority Leader.
I can tell you from the
I've said that I will sign any amendment anybody wants to offer if it's offered after noon. I don't know if the Senate President and Majority Leader would sign it, but I will tell you that in 15 years, I've never not known them to prohibit someone from offering an amendment by not signing it. So,
And is that an amendment, a straight up and down vote?
an amendment would be a straight up and down vote.
And that's going to happen.
The other thing I keep hearing is that this is the bill for this session, but that when you go back into session again, that this whole area may be opened up with more gun legislation. Or is this an agreement that you have that, okay, we're going to do this and then we're over with and we're going to move on to some things? I know you can't enforce that agreement. But
there's a handshake agreement among the leaders that there will be no more gun legislation this session.
This session.
Correct.
Which
means all of the other bills that are still out there.
But they can't come up again.
Well, the next wacko in Texas.
Look, Ron, they could come up technically next week if they wanted to. So, yes, I mean, you and I are going to disagree on a lot of things, but we're also going to agree on a lot. And one of the things we agree upon is, yes, there are people who are going to continue, people continue to raise taxes, there's people continue to spend.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm looking at is, the expediency of this whole thing. And I'm looking at, Malloy, as somebody who wants to be famous for having the most stringent gun laws in the country, and will he be satisfied with this, or will he just, in the next session, just start whipping everybody and saying, I want more, I want more, I want more.
Well,
and then it's more compromise, more compromise. And then possibly registration becomes confiscation.
Yeah, look, obviously he doesn't share with me his plans, right? Yeah. But I will tell you that if you read what he's put out there, if you read what his task force put out there, and it's a little hypocritical for him to try to separate himself from his task force, right? This is not what he had put forward, and not what his task force had put forward. And for an issue that has received more attention on all sides, whether it's phone calls, emails, public hearings, meetings, to not have the governor's involvement in the room was startling. And we've done budgets, we've done things like, I didn't vote for it, but campaign restructuring our campaign finance laws, major school reform initiatives, whatever they were, and whether it was Lowell Wyckoff or John Rowland or Jody Rell or Dan Malloy, they're in the room with the Democrats, sometimes with the Democrats and the Republicans, working it all out. He was never in the room.
That's not surprising.
So, but it's actually shocking because this is a governor who has said to his Democratic colleagues in the legislature, here's what I want to do, and you're going to do it for me. And for the most part, for the first 2 years, they did everything that he asked for. Now, and so I'm only saying that because if he were to say something next year, is that it's not a guarantee that they would do it that they did 2 years ago, but I have no doubt that next session, people will introduce bills that
They do every year.
relate to this issue.
This capacity, I'm on the judiciary committee, every year, the third, 3 of them in a row, there's been a high-capacity magazine bill in some way, shape, or form. It died in committee, but they were out there. Registration, this stuff's always popped up, but it just died in committee. This year, because of what happened, everyone wrapped their arms around it and said, let's try and tackle this in a broader effort. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. I highly doubt that the governor or anyone in the House, D or R, is going to have the political desire to open this thing back up. Assuming this passes, and assuming the governor signs it next session, I would be shocked. Because, like John said, we're 60% through this session. We haven't gotten the damn thing done. And this is important work, don't get me wrong. This is tremendously important work, but I'd be shocked if there was a broader attack on these issues next year. But you're always going to get your incremental bills, because they're always out there. I've been for years, banning everything and everything. That was the starting point in all these task forces. And this finishing point is inconvenient for gun owners, but it's part of a broader package that might actually get something done.
Everybody blasphemizes the NRA, but God, if they weren't around, that's why I write checks, to bring these guys all back.
And, my 2 cents, I'm not speaking ill of anyone. I'm gonna have a conversation with you here more than I'm gonna have a conversation with a paid lobbyist on any side of the issue. So, and I did meet with them. They requested to spend about an hour together, and I met with all of the groups who had NSSF and CAGB, whatever acronym you want to use. But I mean, you don't. Your voice is more important than the money you give to them for their voice. I'm not saying don't give it. I'm just
we need a voice, because we obviously don't have the media on our side. So they didn't seek me out, I chose them as my representation. They're our voice. I think, we need it, because we don't, it's obvious, you don't get equal coverage on the news. And it's twisted, it's like a funhouse mirror. So
listen, we don't need to talk about that, but they came out with a piece critical of me, which is fine. But if they came out with a piece today critical of me, which is fine. But if I vote no and every Republican votes no, the bill still passes.
You're stood enough for what?
Well,
You're stood up for something.
I believe I am standing up for something. We just don't agree. But we're talking about now how to lobby an issue, and going after the minority. They haven't spent time, getting people active in Democratic districts to change the vote numbers. That's my observation. What's happened in the last 90 days.
51 says no, 16 says no.
You've talked about tax bills in the last year.
That's just the reality.
You've been able to get
democracy.
Senate Republicans and Senate and House members all on the same page. So
Yes.
even though some of the tax bills have gone through, because you are a minority party, you've all stood together.
Yep.
So does it make sense in something like this, once you have the final bill, you've accomplished what you think you've accomplished, to still all stand together as a party and vote no against it?
Well, not everybody. There are people who are going to vote yes.
But I'm just thinking in terms
Party's
of
not
party.
unified in its.
I'm thinking in terms of
They're gonna be Democrats.
party leadership.
I don't think this is an issue that historically, if you look at '93, from the first assault